everyone and welcome to another episode of the Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes and today we have another video in my Halloween Horror Nights review series. If you want to check out what this is all about, then click the link above my head now. And today I'm going to be giving you my review of Stranger Things Season 2. Now if you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as always, my videos, this review may include spoilers, so you have now been warned. So Season 2 of Stranger Things did exactly what I wanted it to and even more. It took my questions and concerns that were overhanging from the end of the first series and it answered those, it tied those up really well, and then it blended into another incredible story. Seriously, I loved this second season so much. I actually think I maybe preferred it a little bit more to the first series because I felt like they doubled down on everything in the second series and it all worked. Well, the majority of it worked. I thought we got really great stories with not only the returning characters, we got to get a little bit more story from maybe characters we didn't see a lot of in the first series, such as Mike and Dustin. We definitely fleshed out their story arc and we got to know a little bit more about their characters. Also, obviously with Will now returning to the group, we got to see a really good dynamic from him, but then we also got introduced into some new and interesting characters as well. I wasn't too keen on the character Max when she was first introduced into the group, but I thought as the series progressed and we really got to know more about her and you start to peel back the curtain and you get to see kind of the horrible life that she has with her terrible brother Billy, I think it is, then I really started to empathize and feel for Max, and I thought that actually she's turned out to be one of the better characters of the series. It did take a little while for her to become that, but she was actually quite an integral part to this story. And then the other new character, before Bob was bad in season 1, man, but Bob, oh, I loved Bob. I just want to give Bob a hug. I want to bring him out to my house and watch ET with him and make sure everything's okay. I want to make him safe. Oh, if this is the first time in a long time I've genuinely been affected by a character because he was just so sweet and so pure. I'm gonna cry. Oh God, he was just so sweet and so pure, and I loved that he just kind of brought a certain level of normality to the show as well, because he wasn't involved in the kind of crazy world of season 1. He's introduced into season 2 and he's kind of our view into what is going on with all of these characters because he doesn't really know what's gone on himself, and I just love that about Bob. I thought it was so sweet, and even in his death it was beautiful, it was satisfying. Do you get what I mean by that? It was like, even though he knew he was going to die, he was doing it to save the people he loved, and I thought Bob was just a great character. And then to just go back to returning characters once again, I did mention this in my review of season 1, but that is Steve Harrington, his redemption story. It well and truly continues here in season 2, and I love that because although I loved him at the end of season 1, my love for Steve grew. Him becoming like a big brother to the kids, more specifically Dustin. I just loved all of their story together. It was brilliant, genuinely. The characters in this show, I mentioned it in my season 1 review again, are just brilliant, but they absolutely doubled down on them here and it worked so well. I loved it. Talking about that growth as well, I think the story that we got with Eleven and Hopper as well works so well because for me, like season 1, although it's Eleven's story, I did feel it was more about the gang. But in this season, we definitely got more Eleven and more of that satisfying story with Eleven. And I loved it because for me, season 1 is like the boys' show. And then season 2 is definitely Eleven's show because we get to see all of this story and all of the kind of background, and we fill in the gaps, like I said, of season 1 with Eleven, and we get to establish more of her story and get to see more of Eleven the person more than Eleven the being, if that makes sense. And I love that. I love that we got all of this wonderful story with Eleven. My only kind of criticism of the Eleven story arc is obviously it's episode 7, because I kind of get what they were doing here. they were trying to flesh out that story and really build a world outside of Hawkins, Indiana, which I like because it does set up some future stories for season 3. I just felt like this was maybe a little bit misplaced within the season, because it was sort of episode 7, as I said, we're really ramping up this story to where we're going to get the conclusion of, you know, the boys that are still in Hawkins, they're really ramping it up, they're trying to save Will from the shadow monster, and then it was kind of really jarring just to have the season really slow down and have this kind of external story of Eleven finding her sister. And as I said, I get it because they are planting seeds for future seasons, but maybe we could have held back on this story and had it maybe in the middle of season 3 where the stakes weren't so high. But it's not really a negative, because I understand it and I get it. I just think it was just a little bit misplaced, but it is nice to see the Duffer Brothers trying something a little bit different with this story. And then, like, this is kind of my review. I want to end it on this point because I think it's quite a nice question to ask you guys as well. And that is, where do you see Stranger Things going from here? Because, as I said, I love this show. I love season 1. I absolutely adored season 2. I think it's a lot better than season 1. But where do they go from here? Because, as I mentioned at the beginning of this review, they really, really double down on everything in this show. They double down on the story, the horror, they double down on the Demogorgon, we get the shadow monster, and it does feel now like that Demogorgon story is kind of finished with. The Upside Down story has concluded very naturally, and obviously we get that tease at the end of season 2 where it's after the snowball, is it, and the school turns upside down. So it does feel like we're gonna go back to the Upside Down in some point in season 3, and I don't know whether they're just trying to force that story now. I feel like maybe the Duffer Brothers should start moving away from the Upside Down, but I'm not really sure, because, you know, who am I to say this? They probably got an amazing story in place for season 3 and it's gonna blow my mind. It's just, I am a little bit concerned that they might be holding on to one story just a little bit too much, because it does feel over these 2 seasons that that Demogorgon and Upside Down story has played out perfectly and it has reached a natural conclusion, so I don't want it to feel forced in the 3rd season. But, you know, that being said, let me know your thoughts on that. What, like, where do you see things going in season 3 of Stranger Things? Because, yeah, I'm excited, but I'm a little bit apprehensive at the same time, but I'm sure they'll be fine. So let me know your thoughts on season 2 of Stranger Things, as always, down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video and you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews and awesome bonus features like this Halloween Horror Nights review series, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the very next episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. Ta-ra!